Let's go. We about to begin, me friends. Be right back. Still don't got the chat. Still... It's horrible. Shit is looking. Hello, it's me. At the jam, trying to suck my street. What the hell is trying to do? Chat. Hello? Yeah. Chat. Be afraid. Be afraid. We're going to be talking about Jonathan Majors. We're going to be talking about Saw 10. We're going to be talking about MCU Phase 5. We're going to be talking about a whole bunch of talking about. You know what I mean? Lemon Scoop. And let me give you a preview, because I definitely want to set you guys up. Let me make sure that the music ain't too loud. Feel me? That is at least comfortable. But I think the reality is there's no way to sugarcoat the situation. It looks horrible for Jonathan Majors. So I definitely want to, let's get that in the middle. Let's start with the Saw. I think I set it up pretty cool because we don't want to start this early morning. I just got out of work at 7. We don't want to start this early morning talking about something so potentially vicious. But people are innocent until they're proven guilty. This is still America, and I'm not gonna condemn him automatically. You know what I mean? We'll see ultimately if he proves to be the asshole that it's looking like right now. But hey, we're gonna dive into the details. I'm not gonna I don't feel any which way about the situation, especially considering that we don't have all the information. We're getting scattered information. So that's just a preview. We're gonna get into it. Something a lot more exciting and hilariously, I'm arguing that it's a positive start. But it's Saw 10, baby. I can't wait. And just give me a few seconds. I'm doing, some. Let's say I got leftovers from the holiday yesterday, so I'm just enjoying the leftovers. Don't want to show that on screen. Be respectful. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. You know what I mean. And if you chat it up, don't be afraid to come through. I can't wait to dive into this because wow. Saw 10 is shaking up to be quite interesting. So, Let go. Invite people over so we can have this discussion. I'm really excited to dive in, just talk some crap about my favorite horror franchise, the most underrated horror franchise, the most disrespected horror franchise. I don't appreciate the YouTubers feeling all high and mighty attacking Saw. I'm a Saw defender. Fuck out it. Damn. Well, I've been on for a few minutes, so I think I'm good with the algorithm. I think I could curse a little, but I think that's a that's some bull jive. To quote the great Shannon Sharp. To quote the great philosopher Shannon Sharp. That's a bunch of bull jive. Because a lot of your horror favorites are trash. Insidious? Trash. Motherfucking. What's that other joint? That's trash. Annabelle, trash. The Jorona joint. La Llorona Mojona Foshona. Who the hell is that? Now that's trash. Y'all can never come at Saw when y'all like shit like that. Fantasy and shit. Nah. I know some people do believe in that. And hey, maybe I do have an encounter. But I don't believe in that shit right now. So can't take a possessed doll seriously unless it's hilarious like Chucky. Now we laughing. We in there. Fuck it. Now you want me to take this doll serious? Want me to scared? Want to be scared of Annabelle? Never. I'm not gonna front. I rolled up a skimpy. Didn't want to do that on screen, so I'm being respectful. Hey, we in here, baby. As you see, you can see the main themes. We're on YouTube. Please like and subscribe and share this. I do, I hope I'm bringing some positivity. You hear a lot of negativity um, out here, and even though some of the subject matter I'm not gonna be able to be all jolly about, that would be a little weird, and and it deserves to be treated as a delicate subject. And remember, someone is a potential victim here, so we want to send shout outs to her, and ultimately, because we should never condone any male on female violence. Even in retaliation, there should be some pushback. Although you shouldn't hit anyone, you know. Let's still uphold some of those traditional values. We're still men. Let's enjoy our roles, and let's stop trying to abuse our power. But that's later. Speaking of abusing your power, we got to start out, and you see it on the screen already. And I should put it in full screen just so that it takes up the rest of the screen. Now I'm talking like Kamala Harris. I don't even know how to talk no more. Okay, I got it. I don't know if it glitched out a little bit. So here on Screen Rant, this was I guess the latest information I could find. Um, oh no, okay. Oh, it's been updated March 5th, 2023. So, but the headline hasn't been updated. They should have updated the headline. But anyway, let's see what they updated. This is really what I wanted to see. Disable without continue without disabling. Okay. So the biggest rumor, shout out to Four Corners Boxing, by the way. The biggest rumors about Saw 10 is that it's going to take place between Saw 2 and 3, which clearly, if he's alive, that makes perfect sense because there was a bunch of things that happened between that movie that was revealed in Revelation. So remember that typically we're not seeing these characters for multiple days, even though they make it explicit how long we're spending time with each of these people. So there's definitely so many more days that we haven't been able to see of Jigsaw. So any days in between that will kind of fit, unless it doesn't contradict anything from previous lore. But the cool, exciting part is that the biggest rumor will be surrounding the fact that he's going to Mexico to look for an experimental uh, anecdote or an experimental medical treatment that could help him out. Which, to me, sounds just like Jigsaw. You think he was just going to stop when the insurance rep from Saw 6 told him no? Absolutely not. He had the money. He was just trying to go through the righteous and the right pathways because he spent that money. That's the craziest part of American healthcare is that people are investing into these programs. It's not he's paying for that insurance and he couldn't even get life saving treatment, and that's sad. Uh, so and look at me, I'm feeling sympathetic over Jigsaw. What a weirdo. But the reality is that I love the fact that this is a potential um, plot thread because it would fit perfectly in the franchise. It's definitely a theme in the franchise from the mistreatment from Lawrence, from Dr. Lawrence Gordon, Lawrence Gordon. The way he treated Jigsaw, he almost treated him like a number, just like a specimen on a sheet. He didn't treat him like a human being. Um, uh, Hence why I believe Jigsaw chose him as his first target, among other things. He eventually recruited him and boom, 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 whatever. But um, the medical industry and its mistreatment of his patients are a huge part of this franchise. Doctors have been caught up in Saw 3. Saw 4, you find out that it's interconnected. So you see law enforcement get caught up. But more importantly, the medical industry is heavily connected in the franchise. Saw 6 really hits the nail in the coffin with its whole themes and traps and insurance plot threads. And I love Saw 6. I think that's one of the greatest horror sequels ever made. Uh, Ultimately, this has the potential to be very interesting because they're not contradicting anything. They're going to explore a time where he was alive. So I'm not entirely sure if this is taking place. Um, so it says between Saw 2 and Saw 3. Saw 2 and Saw 3. So I'm digesting this and dissecting this all in real time. So if this is in between Saw 2 and Saw 3, that means this is after he got his ass whipped um by by Detective Matthews. He got his ass whipped by Detective Matthews, and he eventually that I don't know if that specifically led to it, but that definitely didn't help. And I'm pretty sure that accelerated the stage he was in Saw 3. So this is definitely gonna be after he got his ass whipped, right? And maybe as a last effort after getting his ass whipped by Dr. Matthews, yeah, by Detective Matthews, he rushes to Mexico in order to get this life saving treatment, which clearly fails, right? Because we see eventually his state of health in Saw 3. So it's just going to be very interesting what they're trying to set up and what they're trying to explore here, because um, I, I'm just interested in finding out more rooms. Let's see if there's any more delightful information I'm reading here. I'm reading that here. Let's read the first headline. And this is from Screen Rant by Zoe Jordan. And this was August 18th, 2022. So the headline reads, when will Saw 10 take place in the franchise timeline? With Saw 10 being officially greenlit and new updates about the gory franchise surfacing every day, where in the timeline will the film fit? Damn, I can't even see. Hold up. Oh man. I guess I enjoy 420 way too much. All right, but anyway, a handful of delightfully horrific franchises are returning to the big screen in 2023, including the now confirmed Saw 10. But it's unclear where the Gory Series 10th installment fit into the timeline. But you can read this whenever you want. So I'm just going to skim read it, get to the points. They're talking about Chris Rock, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to hear none of that. All right. This is the first bit of interesting news. Along with the Lionsgate's announcement that Saw 10 will be released on October 27, 2023, Saw producers Mark Berg and Oren Cools have put out a statement teasing the film's content. We have been listening to what the fans have been asking for and are hard at work planning a movie that Saw aficionados and horror fans alike will love. And that gets me it gets me extremely excited because Halloween must be Saw, you know what I mean? And I can't wait to see it, and it's just gonna be exhilarating. Let's see what else. Um, I completely agree with this. Considering the focal point of Saw's criticism in recent years has been the saga's avoidance of its original material, this statement likely implies Saw will be returning to his roots. To place Saw 10 definitively on the non-linear timeline, however, the rumored Saw 10 story featuring John Kramer traveling to Mexico for cancer treatment should be considered. And we could even open this one up. Saw 10's rumored story proves the series needs John Kramer. It absolutely needs John Kramer. If you, it actually, it hinders on John Kramer. I think that's what a lot of people miss about Jigsaw. It has an incredible actor playing it. This is a role that I think only Jigsaw could pull off. Only Tobin Bell could pull off. You know, the man is from Queens, I believe. He's a New Yorker. He looks great for his age. I'm so glad he's still pushing it, unlike Robert Englund or England, however you want to pronounce it. But I say Englund, and I'm such a huge fan of Freddy Krueger. He was the reason um, I began this journey as a horror fan, and Jigsaw is really my favorite. He's ultimately my favorite because of how visceral, how real, how philosophical even he is. I don't think you've ever seen a horror character who can express his thoughts. Most horror characters can't. Jason ain't gonna tell you how he feels. That's probably all you can hear. Zombies ain't gonna tell you what they feel. So you just I love to get the nuances of a character, and Jigsaw is come on, he's a man of nuance. So uh, but yeah, he is a mortal character. So let's get that out the way. He's mortal. He can die and has died. So it has been anchored by the fact that he's been dead. Had he been alive and he was youthful, he would have been able to do a lot more traps. You could have stretched this out until they brought in fantasy. But I don't think that's what they wanted. They had a clear story. It wasn't impeded, and it was altered by the fact that Carrie Elways uh, decided that the fact that they didn't justly pay him. That there's no fault of Carrie Elways, but the fact that they settled ultimately, and that we had to find out the revelation in seven, and it was kind of hampered by the fact that people felt it was shoehorned in when in fact it was set up from the beginning. So, and you kind of sense that when you watch all the movies back to back to back, as opposed to just watching it on its own. But it wasn't shoot in. It was definitely a part of the story from the beginning. And I think that's what took away from the movie theater experience, the fact that we knew that. And Saw is known for its twists. It's known to go, what the hell? It's supposed to hit you. That's Saw. A Saw movie is made by the end. The ending solidifies the movie for me. And most of the time, the ending of these movies are always awesome. If they're not a huge revelation, it's just execution dope. Like Saw 5. The execution is fucking dope. The fact that he gets caught up, you thinking he's eventually gonna get caught up, and he ends up falling in the tombstone, in the see through tombstone. I thought that was very inventive and cool, and it wasn't necessarily like a huge revelation because we already knew he was the killer. So see, they played on it a bit. They changed it up a bit, um, and I love the fact that Saw 3 and Saw 4 are happening. Spoiler alert: Saw 3 and Saw 4 are happening simultaneously, and there's so many creative story elements. The Saw 2 ending, the Saw 1 ending, of course. Um, uh, Even the Saw 3 ending and how it gets expanded in Saw 4, that ending, that all connective tissue, that felt like a puzzle piece. It really sold you on on one of the huge concepts of these movies. It wasn't about the gore, man. It's about the cool story. It's about the characters. Even his apprentices were very underrated. Amanda was amazing. Uh, um, uh, Mandalore. I can't. I don't know why it's not hitting me. Clearly, he's not as memorable to me as Detective Hoffman. I can't believe I had to do that. But Detective Hoffman is an amazing character with an amazing voice that could compete with Jigsaw. Clearly not nowhere near at the level of Jigsaw, but he has such a cool tone of voice, a cool way of presenting himself as a character. If it wasn't a detective, then you find out he's ultimately an accomplice. The revelations there, I think that was beautiful stuff. What ultimately hindered Jigsaw? Now I'm going on a rant. I'm going on a tangent. But Jigsaw, what hindered Spiral is that the revelations are coming out of left field. Where I would say the revelations of the first seven movies are were all within. They all had connections where there was no connection between any revelation. And like for example, the accomplice was cool. I thought Logan was dope, and Jigsaw. And overall, I enjoyed that movie. But the ending doesn't hit like a traditional Saw movie because the revelation is just that. It's a revelation. It isn't really connected. It's like its own revelation. It's not connected to anything prior. Although it tries to sell you on the fact that Jigsaw um, had him in his wing, and there's probably a bunch of other ones he had in his wing we probably don't even know about. And it's definitely feasible that he had more. So I'm not denying that possibility, but you're not going to compare that to Amanda's revelation where she was the victim in part one and she plays the entire game in part two and you find out she's the villain. It's not going to compete with Mark Hoffman's revelation where you literally see him in a trap almost to his demise, although this is all, it's coerced. It's a performance. But at the end of the day, he had to risk death to a certain extent in order to to prove that he was really in that trap. So he was close to death, no matter how you paint it. And uh, that revelation was dope. I don't care what nobody says. I love that. Even though you kind of got teased of his revelation and saw there was a tease, and you saw him in Saw 3 before he was. You saw the reveal, so it was set up. it's almost like Halloween ends. How they try to set up Corey as the next step, but they could have set him up in Saw One. I mean, in um Halloween 2018, and then they could have set him up in Halloween Kills. At least they didn't do any of that. So can revelations of their own. Oh, that's not even a revelation. That's just a story. That's just a part of the story. That's what happened. That's a circumstance of the story. That's where the story went. Um, but when you go to Spiral, I would say overall the movie was interesting. It had its own style. It was going for his own. It was going for a real copycat, like a person who's inspired, who's almost continuing the work. But the weakest part of the ending wasn't the fact that they included the SWAT team killing Samuel L. Jackson in that fashion, which is clearly kind of like trying to present it in like a political, and it's not even political. It just says real life situations that happen in real life. Easy to say political, but real people have died in that situation. So I enjoyed that aspect of it, and I thought that was a cool way of bringing that into a franchise that already had a bunch of detective plot threads and conspiracies within the law enforcement. So it already touched on that. So this way, I guess Spiral brought it more into real life as opposed to kind of keeping it like a villainous. You remember that these people, it was presented more as accomplices, like Mark Hoffman. It wasn't the whole law enforcement. Where Spiral kind of got it to a larger scale. It touched on the larger scale of the rabbit hole when it comes to that political theme and those real life situations that happen. So I thought that element was cool. That was decently executed. But what was not decently executed was the inspiration of the killer's the inspiration. If you're really gonna say he's a copycat, he's inspired, you can't just have one line where he is almost like a throwaway line, like, well, Jigsaw, he believed it was for certain people, but we can use it against the law enforcement. I don't know. I obviously paraphrased that. I probably butchered the entire quote. I get it. But I didn't like the weak connection to Jigsaw. Maybe they didn't want to do uh, a self revelation, and I don't even know if that's the way you refer to it, but a revelation that's trying to sell you on something that happened in these previous movies that was never on screen, you know, and maybe they was trying to avoid that, so they just went with a basic inspiration. Um, um, that's it. He was just inspired. That's it. He wasn't. He had no real connection to Jigsaw, unlike Logan. So with the two sequels that were not mainline movies, you saw one connection that was never teased in any movie, and another connection that wasn't necessarily exciting. And there there was no connection. He was like not even fully inspired by Jigsaw. I guess the style that in that, but I don't know. The lack of Tobin Bell hurt the movie. I think it would have worked more if they actually showed more Tobin Bell, not just a damn picture of him. They actually showed him. Uh, they should have showed this guy studying Jigsaw. They should have showed him reading some sort of book. It was called the Book of Saw. He should have been literally reading a book that he found on that website from from Jigsaw. So just certain things that could have solidified that connection a little bit more than just one or two lines. It should have been like a real scene that revealed. But you also gotta respect it was his own movie. The revelations were within that movie. So you found out Samuel L. Jackson was just as corrupt as everyone else. So that's an underestimated part of the movie because they're trying to. I think the movie's trying to be fair. It's trying to say it's not racial. So if you're gonna say the movie's woke and all of that, it's not. It's actually displaying both sides, and that's the best way you could do things. If you are gonna go political, you got to display every side, and for the most part, they did that. The revelation was that Samuel L. Jackson, a black man, was also enforcing police brutality, and you have to respect the movie for that because it would have been way easier to hire a Mark Hoffman lookalike and pin him for the conspiracy. But no, they actually pinned a black man in a lead role, and you gotta respect the movie for that. The movie deserves credit for pushing both sides of the narrative because you saw the corruption. You saw the moment they saw a gun in Samuel L. Jackson's hands, they saw him as a victim. They saw him as a target instantly, which is, part of the training and part of the indoctrination and part of why they should be trained to have a little bit more composure. But hey, I'm not the one in there. So it's much easier for me to try to talk to X and O's about situations like that. So these are people that want to go home, they want to feed their children, they want to end up back at home with their wives. So I'm not going to critique the execution. That is for people way above my pay grade and way above my position in life. I work at a Hilton hotel. I'm not in law enforcement, so that's out of my peril, and I understand that, and I'm comfortable saying it. Um, so I think, but again, with all that being said, I'm confident in saying that uh, he absolutely made they made a movie that touched on both sides, and I respect that. Um, but again, we're touching on the subject matter. Does Saw really need Tobin Bell? Absolutely. Jigsaw is a huge, like, absolutely a huge part of it. I think without without him being without being enamored by Jigsaw, I think you miss out on some of the beauty of the franchise. You must respect his work. I sound like a fucking disciple, but once you understand Jigsaw, you understand the revelations. You understand where everything went. Uh, you understand that Jigsaw never truly presented a contradiction. Well, maybe you can find a contradiction, but for the most part, a lot of people said that the story went south, and he he was a he was a hypocrite. He didn't execute absolutely everything. The dude was in his deathbed. So ultimately, a bunch of these deaths you could connect to Amanda, like uh, 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 the female detective from Saw, who was right next to Detective Matthews and who died via the chest ripping mechanism trap. That was by Amanda. That wasn't Jigsaw. Hoffman killed all those people, and he became like a real slasher killer, which I thought people underestimated about Hoffman. How he was he was more brutal. He was what Jigsaw could have been if he was young. A lot of what Jigsaw had to do was based on his engineering career and his lack of health. His lack of health is a huge. That's just a element that's always going to be a part of it. So just to stay consistent with what my thoughts are, Saw 2 and 3 having that potential threat of him looking for cancer, a potential cancer patient in Mexico. That makes total sense when you think about real life situations where people go over to Mexico to get cheaper drugs. Literally, Americans are traveling to Mexico to pick up prescriptions because they can either get them for free or an extremely cheap rate. So compared to America, so that really does happen, and I really like that connection. So, and I just brought up this article right here because Carrie Elways had a famous history with Saul. Ultimately, people felt like his 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 revelation was shoehorned in, but no, it was merely scrambled and delayed. But it was always set up. So in retrospect, initially I didn't like the ending. I didn't like it because it felt like I knew it, so it didn't hit. But when you realize it was set up, it's infinitely above Logan's revelation. Is infinitely above the new inspired killer from Spiral. Those revelations fail in comparison. Every accomplice has a decently cool reveal, and it all seems feasible enough. The feasibility is there, and you see the interwoven threads, and I appreciate that. And I think this movie needs to have, if it can, what's the potential ending? But anyway, let's not. Let me. I'm all scattered out. I have no comment one way or the other about the franchise. I really can't speak to it. I'm happy for the filmmakers that they continue to make money and that it seems to be a financial bonus for them. I really can't speak to it because I'm not really involved anymore. I think he ended that to save face because he says I really can't speak to it because I'm not really involved in it anymore. But if he wasn't involved at all, like he's stating, he wouldn't be wording things in this way. The fact that he says I have no comment one way or the other about that franchise, I really can't speak to it. Alone tells you that he may be under an NDA. So don't be shocked if he's revealed in there. Might be that Lawrence Gordon's the one that sent him to Mexico. That's how he got him to Mexico, Lawrence Gordon. So don't sleep on this little comment. Maybe a lot of people ain't talking about this, but don't sleep on this little comment right here. I have no comment one way or the other about that franchise. If he was an MCU actor, I already know what a lot of you would think. And he doesn't outright deny his possibility because he doesn't say that. The literally wording, you have to speak libel. You have to read this like literally one for one like a coder. He doesn't say, I'm not going to be in the movie. Okay? So if it's revealed that he ultimately is the reason that Jigsaw even discovers this treatment, it even could explain where Lawrence Gordon has been all this time. After that, she probably retired and went to Mexico. Oh shit, this is all coming to me live, real time. This is all hitting me right now. This is crazy. No lie. This is a serious possibility when you're considering it. It could definitely be that Lawrence Gordon, after performing that surgery in Saw 2, um, he was sent away to Mexico, handling things in Mexico for your boy Jigsaw. That would be interesting. Okay. But anyway, let's say he's not in it. What? Does the world need another Saw movie? Of course it does. Absolutely. When you see the Curse of La Llorona, oh, I'm going ahead of myself. Hold up. That's next, though. That's next, man. And this is like absolutely crazy because wow, what a way to drop your career in the middle of it, middle of its prime. Yeah, your phone's not working. Give me a second, guys. My nephew's phone's not working. It's not working. All right. You what? You want pizza? Okay, I'll make pizza. So, where was I? Uh, when will Saw 10 take place in the franchise? Let's see if we can find some quick information. Boom, boom, boom. That's what I wanted to find. Okay, okay. Shh, shh, shh. If the rumored storyline of Saw 10 is accurate, it proves the franchise really needs John Kramer to work. While horror cinema of the 80s gave audiences an almost endless amount of slasher icons, including Chucky, Freddy, and Jason, the 90s and 2000s were less of a fertile time. Easily one of the biggest horror fan favorites to emerge from this time was Tobin Bell's John Kramer from 2004's Saw. This is somewhat ironic since Bell's Jigsaw played a relatively small role and is only truly revealed in the final scene. But no, what Saw 1 does beautifully is that it lets his work speak for itself, just like an engineer. You see the work laid out. In the end, you find out who's the architect. But first, you see the construction workers, you see the people setting it up, you see the leaders. But ultimately, the architect is where you got to do a little bit more digging. Ultimately, and he is the architect. So I would also argue that it does a beautiful job of setting him up as a savant, a brilliant engineer that's capable of doing a bunch of sophisticated traps. And without his work, you wouldn't be able to see this work. Another thing that undermined Spiral was the I'm gonna make pizza. I got it. I'm gonna make it. All right. Give me a second. It's Matt early. He wants a pizza, but I got some. Don't worry, from last night. But yo, he made me lose my train of thought, and I can't go backwards and read myself. Damn. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So ultimately, I refound myself. See, that's all you gotta do. Thinky, and you get back. Saw one displays his work. You ultimately find out he's the man. He ain't the average horror character. How many horror icons you know win? Go ahead. Tell me. If you watching lady, watching now, I don't give a fuck. Comment. How many horror icons you know that win? And I don't mean survive. I mean win in their ultimate goal. Saw one and Saw two ultimately finally reveals who he is. Um, let me eat this guy some pizza, man. Make some pizza, okay? Oh yeah. Hold up. Do I have a YouTube chat? Hold up. No. Okay, it's working. Okay, show on the chat right there. See if there's anybody. So as we continue here, however, Bell's distinctive voice and charisma made Jigsaw a chilling character, and I'm glad they're giving him that credit in his flowers. He's one of the most chilling characters, bar none. It gives you a lot of that uh, Anthony Hopkins energy, just a bit, just a bit on a higher frequency to me. I think he scares the shit out of me. But he also is like, you can learn some shit from this bastard. So it's like, he's such a weird character. He's such a compelling villain. Um, so, who charisma made Jigsaw a chilling character? Who became front and center for 2005's Saw 2? Kramer was revealed to be terminally ill in the original and is ultimately killed by a vengeful victim in the third movie's finale. However, the Saw movies proved enormously profitable, so the character returned for later movies in the form of flashbacks or pre-recorded tapes. As the series wore on, it became increasingly more difficult to weave Bell's John Kramer into the narrative, which is when the Saw series started going in new directions. I kind of like this breakdown because this is essentially what I was saying without reading it. 2017 Jigsaw featured a prominent supporting role for Kramer. The sequel was really an origin tale for his previously unmentioned apprentice Logan. Again, previously unmentioned. That's the reason why. It doesn't hit the same. Just like Halloween Ends, previously unmentioned. He's unmentioned, Corey's. Like, he's not even alluded to. Um, that would have hit so much more if you would have seen that connection from Halloween 2018. You could have even read it in an article. However, the movie and Logan were met with mixed responses, and the series attempted another reboot with Spiral. This entry appeared to have the most potential, with Chris Rock both starring and having a hand in the story. It was also the first Saw not to feature Kramer in any capacity, outside of a photo and inspiring the new copycat killer. Again, Spiral was greeted with mixed reviews, and apparently Saw 10 will finally bring back John Kramer to play some new games. Specifically, rumors suggest Saw 10's plot is set between Saw and Saw 2 and will be told from Kramer's perspective. Ah, all right. So from the beginning of the stream, I confused myself. I'm like, between Saw and Saw 3, he got his ass whipped in Saw in Saw 2. So I'm like, man, how are you gonna get from that and then it's gonna circulate? It's just gonna accelerate to him being on his deathbed. So I'm like, how do they have time to really set him up as a villainous character? But we didn't really see Saw 1 to Saw 2, right? The in between of that, really. So hey, that's really cool. Um, and it's gonna be told from Kramer's perspective. Whoa, y'all reading that? And will be told from Kramer's perspective. Interesting. So they're gonna try to go like the the Joker angle with Jigsaw. Interesting. 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 I can see the potential. My brain is just working right now. The montages of him creating machinery that could be immensely compelling. His montages of catching people, or um, I want to see a long. I want to hear a long conversation with Jigsaw. That's what I love about Saw 2. You actually had conversations, and that conversations were a huge part. He had to just sit down and talk to him. He just had to sit down and talk. You know, what an asshole Jigsaw is. All right. If this proves true, it's a smart move. I agree. The Saw movies have tried to move beyond Bell's John Kramer twice now, but the character is simply too important to the series' success. Like Robert Englund as Freddy Krueger, great example. Excuse me. Bell is a key ingredient in either recasting or rebooting Saw probably wouldn't work either. If Saw X is an interquel, this also solves the problem of later sequels like Saw 4 onwards, which could only feature Kramer's Jigsaw in a limited time capacity or a limited capacity. This concept allows Bell to play a major role for the first time since Saw 3. And while another sequel dipping into another previously unrevealed aspect of John's life also strains credulity somewhat, it's a small price to pay. The original Saw, before the series spawned a messy timeline, was never meant to spawn a series, and if it was designed that way, the filmmakers behind it likely never would have made John Kramer terminally ill. But again, that was a huge part of it. Um, Interesting to see what Josh Stolberg, and Josh Stolberg is really cool to talk to. He's definitely really responsive to the fans, and he's been responsible. He's a good writer. You can't fault. This is probably one of the most difficult tasks for him, and for me, he's respected the franchise enough, and he understands this is a visceral, grounded horror character, and he gets that through and through. He gets some of the dialogue correctly. I think he's done an effective job at his role. Now he gets the full tool set. He gets Jigsaw. Imagine having a right Jigsaw, but you only get you get strained story elements. You get story portions that you can't even touch on, and now they could kind of get real interesting here. He has now it's in the middle of the mainline timeline. Now he has the mainline chronology. So let's see what he does with that. And I think he can do a great job. I honestly think he showed that he can do a good review. He can come up with great ideas in both those movies, in Spiral and in Jigsaw. It's just it missed that Jigsaw element too. That there's just a certain level of sophistication that Jigsaw has. So look, it brought it back with the horror family polishing up the next Saw script. I could tell you there will be blood, but you know that already. What I can promise you is that this is gonna make John Kramer fans very happy. Oh yes. They've already announced Amanda's coming back, the actress who plays Amanda, which is amazing. I hope they bring back Costas Mandalore, Mark Hoffman. I can't believe I don't follow him. What an idiot. You can't deny how awesome Costas Mandalore is. And look, he still looks great. He can still perform. Oh man, this guy don't age. He shaves that beard. That's Mark Hoffman again from the beginning. The dude is doing some things with his skin. Let's go, Mark Hoffman. Let's see what they got on the Saw 10 Twitter. I could really talk about this forever. Oh, oh, this is behind the scenes. Nice. So I think now we could get into, and I actually had an interesting conversation with your boy right here, Christopher Mark. He kept it respectful. You know what I mean? We had our disagreements, but for the most part, he remained respectful. We just had, as you can see here, a bunch of back and forth. Let's see what he originally said. We could go into this because I think we all have a gist of the situation with Jonathan Majors. Let's see. Well, we could set this up. I think just to finish off the Saul situation, because I could talk about that forever. I'm really looking forward to Saw 10. Looking forward to the trailer. I'm looking forward to more information. More. I hope more cast members are revealed. You know, I just can't wait. Just can't wait. And Saw is an underrated franchise, and that says a lot when it makes $1 billion. So this is not me claiming victim. You know, Saw makes his money. It's proven that on its own. It don't need to. It don't need to follow other movie franchises. It could do its own thing, and that's why you appreciate stories like this. They made their own story. They didn't let the fans coerce them into their own story. If anything, they threw themselves into the corner and have proven to create some inventive, incredible sequels. And I think without that crux, they would have probably just kept more linear. You would have saw more. You would have saw just a basic sequel like you typically see in horror movies. And the fact that they now can go backwards retrospectively and go in between Saw 1 and Saw 2, you're really gonna see an experienced version of what that kind of dry sequel would have been. You're gonna see a really inventive version of a direct sequel to Saw, like right after Saw. Because there was some time in between Saw 1 and Saw 2. But anyway, I can't wait. I hope you can't wait. I will make this into a smaller version so people can ingest it, and hopefully you comment and you support, you show some love because I think this is ultimately awesome. And you can see no one's loving it right now, but the moment they watch it, they can support it. I think I have some cool thoughts, and I'm kind of like a pretty reasonable guy. I'm pretty open minded, so you could drop your comments, say whatever you want. Say I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Say whatever the hell you feel like. But ultimately, we could get to this conversation because I think it was healthy, and I think it kind of touches on my angles for the most part. This will help me not, you know, get out of this subject matter. Um, so we could read this first article by Yahoo Entertainment. It was written by Taryn Ryder, April 19th. Jonathan Majors faces career fallout amid domestic violence charges. Where does the Hollywood's It star go from here? And that's absolutely a great way to set him up. He is the It star. He had two movies in theaters at the same time. He played two. He played a pivotal role in both of them. One didn't get received critically that well, and in retrospect, it was a box office failure due to its budget. But for the most part, he did his job, and we can't blame the box office failures of a particular movie on him. And I would say failure or no failure is very similar to a bunch of these. Um, you could say mid-tier comic book movies. Like Shazam is not even a quarter of it. I think it's only a quarter of it. Literally one less than 125, 150. So it's all contextual. So even so, like Creed 3 wouldn't touch 300 million, or maybe it has. I don't know. What is the Creed 3? Creed 3 box office. So as of March 23, bigger than 224 million. March 19 has surpassed all but one. Wait, I want to see all time. I see box office mojo. Worldwide has made 271 million dollars. You know, so it's all contextual. That's an incredible number for a franchise that you know wasn't touching. Well, it just broke the original, right? I believe. Um, well, that's a great number for this movie. He made 100 some odd more money in the Ant Man movie, but contextually, due to the budget, due to expectations, it definitely wasn't box office failure. But enough people watched it, enough people will ultimately watch it, that the impact will be felt regardless. They're changing the strategy a bit. They're releasing it on VOD and maybe releasing it on DVD before they put it on Disney Plus. Even Disney Plus has a better strategy than Xbox, but let's not scatter it about. It's all about making more money and re-engineering the you know the amounts of uh, income streams that these companies can get out of these projects, especially with streaming theft and all that. Considering all that copyright theft, pro as it continues to read. It's been more than 3 weeks since Jonathan Majors was arrested for an alleged domestic dispute. We could open that up just to be careful. But the 33-year-old's career is now starting to take a hit. Majors, one of the Hollywood's hottest young stars, was dropped by his manager and publicist on Monday. Yahoo Entertainment can confirm. Considering the actor's first court date is still weeks away, the timing seemingly signals more fallout to come, says one crisis PR expert. The relationships between a client and their agent and publicist are ones that needs to be built on honesty and trust. So this signals to me that the talent team has learned information that goes against their professional mission and will inhibit them from having a working relationship moving forward. Majors was arrested on March 25th for allegedly attacking a 30-year-old female. A lawyer for the Marvel star previously told Yahoo he completely denies assaulting the woman and says she expects her client will be cleared of assault and harassment charges. That it states Star previously, the lawyer of the Marvel star previously told Yahoo. But when me and Mr. Mark, Christopher Mark, who seems like a great gentleman, I follow him. He's got good content, good theories. I would follow. And he's also not afraid to share his thoughts, and I'm very comfortable. He has his fans, and they have their own thoughts. But remember, this is America, and that's a huge part of really my angle of this whole situation. So not only has the lawyer previously said this, she reiterated it March 30th. So this was after the new victims have come out and spoken to the DA. And that, of course, is a huge revelation. Of course, then there's more people. Um, and if they have evidence, that's gonna be very compelling. And that's a huge reason if you're wondering why they haven't dismissed the case. One thing is to dismiss one case, but once one open, multiple start to open. Now the DA can't responsibly let this go unless you want to, you want to risk losing credulity, credulity. Yo, I can't even speak right now. Unless risk losing credibility. So I believe that it won't be dropped, and it's also not the farthest court date ever. Is May 8th, so a couple weeks away. Uh, so I believe it's just with all this revelation, with all this apparent extra accusations coming out, there was no way that the lawyer, the DA, could just dismiss this. All it could do is now take it to the courts, and it's going to allow the courts to objectively see what happened. And I believe people are understating the reiteration by the lawyer because she reiterates it. Jonathan Major's lawyer shows texts from the alleged victim, says woman admitted fault. Yes, and these texts, I don't know if they necessarily help this case, but that's not what I wanted to see. I wanted to see features TMZ. There you go. This was the article that I see. Jonathan Majors video witness prove I didn't strike ex girlfriend. She went into the club. But this was the 19th, so this was it was all timeline based. So okay, it's clear that this happened the 19th, and you're seeing here that so she said this March 30th. Apparently, this was March 30th. I'm just trying to catch the proper timeline. This was April 19th. Okay, so this was literally a day ago. So this was after the alleged situation what we're about to touch on right now. But I just really wanted to hone in on the fact that this was literally after the new women have allegedly come out. So Jonathan Major says the man who was driving him and his now ex girlfriend the night of their alleged domestic incident will testify the actor did not strike her. And he claims there's video proof she was not injured when she went out to the club after their altercation. Jonathan's attorney Priya Chowdhury filed docs Wednesday in Manhattan, informing the court the driver witnessed what went down between Jonathan and the woman back in March. According to the docs obtained by TMZ, the driver saw the woman assault Majors around 1 a.m. on March 25th while she was attempting to steal his phone. Further, the Creed 3 star says the driver will testify he never struck the alleged victim in any way at any time or even raised his voice. Majors and his attorney also say the driver saw her hitting, scratching, and attacking Jonathan, and that Jonathan asked the driver to stop the car so he could escape her attack, which he did. You're not hearing most people touch on that because, of course, you're supposed to just believe the victim. But in any situation, be it a woman, a man, no matter what position, you got to have some evidence behind your claims. And if evidence is presented, you got to objectively comb through it, read it out, and find your own determination on it. You can't just go off emotion and going off what's right. No, this is the law. Now you have to prove these accusations to be true. So one thing is for these women to come out. Do they have definitive proof? Remember, this ain't like Bill Cosby, where Bill Cosby did this in the 60s and the 80s. No one's even asking the question, why hasn't the girlfriend released pictures of her broken finger? Why not release photos of the damage, laceration, the laceration behind the ear? Those are the two injuries apparently. So why not do that? Maybe people can argue that, she doesn't want to face embarrassment. All this is embarrassing anyway. And I'm not saying she's hiding. That would be a huge accusation on my part. But I would say it's easier for her to, hide her identity and not be burdened to tell the truth or not be burdened to present evidence. And that's what to me is crazy. People are making these large determinations without having the full context. Did you know that she went to the club with with apparently a broken finger and was using it perfectly fine, picking up drinks with one hand, the right hand, the apparent hand that she broke. You didn't see her using the phone. Um, she has one phone in her left hand, another phone in her right hand. So she's not inhibited in any way. I don't see any bandages in her ears, So further, the Creed 3 star says the driver will testify he never saw my bad. And then the woman allegedly told police she suffered a broken finger and a laceration behind her ear during the altercation. However, in the document, Chaudhary says they have proof that's a complete lie. Most people aren't going to mention that portion of it. So a lot of people are trying to sell the narrative that the lawyer has backed off her claims. She hasn't presented the video in public, and I think that's what people are confused. They thought they were going to be presented in public, but I don't think the text messages proved to look great in his favor. So I don't think they wanted to just release a video, knowing that people are going to feel any which way about it. You allow the DA to do it professionally speaking. I'm not saying was morally right. I'm saying professionally, you let the DA handle that decision. Um, um, The lawyer also says she has hours of security video showing the woman went clubbing and got drunk after Majors left her in the car. And she also texted him, accusing him of infidelity and threatening suicide. As for what happened while she was out at a nightclub, Majors court filing includes screenshots of security video showing the woman freely using her right hand, which she claimed Majors injured. In the videos, they say she casually pushes her hair behind her right ear, reaches into her bag several times, sorts through credit cards, handles phones, holds a menu, easily holds a glass of champagne. They say she was seen partying pretty hard, throwing back shots and champagne with friends without any visible sign of injury. And remember, this is hours, you know? When her night out at the club was over, they claimed she showed up at Major's home at 3:23 a.m., entered his apartment and called him 32 times, and sent several angry, jealous text messages. Majors was not home when she got there. Um, Chowdhury says none of these text messages accuse Jonathan of injuring her, nor does she mention any discomfort from alleged injuries. They say Majors got home at 11:13 a.m. and found her unconscious and half naked on the floor of his walk-in closet. He also discovered she allegedly threw up in his bed and told him she'd taken a few sleeping tablets. Majors then called 911 and claimed when what? Majors then called 911 and claimed when paramedics arrived, the woman repeatedly told them, "I don't know," when asked what happened to her. They got footage of that? What? All in the document, Shuri claims body cam footage shows police interviewing the woman and clearly coaching her to say that Mr. Majors grabbed her by the throat. Chowdhury claims the alleged victim never made that claim to anyone prior to the officer's direction. TMZ broke the story, was arrested on March 25th. So clearly, it's not as clean cut as people are making this out to be. Is just because companies are deciding not to be involved. You know the amount of vitriol you get online now. You can't escape it. You cannot escape it. It's like when those politicians are running away from the reporters and they just can't run away. It's just exactly like that, but in an online sort of way. It's the same thing. It's harassment. They harass you into answer. So instead of fighting it through, they're like, you know what? Why would we fight it through with this individual accused of this? Let's just let him go. Ultimately, it doesn't hurt or benefit them in enough a way that they can't get another celebrity in a similar position um, to garner that position or garner that sponsorship or garner that commercial role. So none of them are huge franchise defining situations like the Marvel situation, which is the reason why Marvel has to let him go. But that's for later. That's for the later conversation. This is typically I want to talk about the Jonathan Majors assault situation and supposed strangulation. So she has a broken finger apparently and a laceration behind the ear. But they actually catch her the night of, chilling in the club, enjoying her hands without, a sign. She didn't even perform an action that made them feel, oh. And this is all according to TMZ. And according to the lawyers, so of course, this is subject to change. So it would be in Jonathan Major's best interest to not reveal anything. Let the courts and the professionals handle it. And that's just logical. That's not how I want to see it played out. I just feel like that's the way it will be played out, you know? Um, because ultimately Marvel is not desperate for talent. They shouldn't feel desperate for talent, I should say, because there's plenty of incredible black actors that could take up that role. So it could happen. It could definitely happen easily, quite easily, actually. So let's see if we can read anything more. April 19th. So this was look 12:50 p.m. So this is the middle of the afternoon that TMZ dropped way later. So of course he completely denies assaulting the woman. As of right now, he has been cut from a bunch of things. So I get it, but none of the cancellations are worth this level of pain. You know, the only role worth going through this pain is a recurring character that's literally pivotal to billion dollar, or those are going to be multiple billion-dollar making movies and the Avenger sequels, and he's going to play a pivotal role in that. So of course that's going to be the role that will not be let go of until May 8th. Until May 8th. Despite being one of Hollywood's its actors, Tarosian, who has not worked with Majors, says that he will likely face an uphill battle amid legal troubles. Well, you can't make a determination like that. He's much more inclined to make a comment on this. I'm nowhere near credentialed in this. I'm not, and I'm definitely not pretentious enough to express my thoughts in a matter of fact sort of. You better listen to this way. Um, I still think that's a little bit too preliminary. You don't have enough information and to even say that. You're gonna say, yeah, of course she's gonna have an uphill battle. So really, that's not that crazy of a prediction, and it's pretty accurate. You could say this pretty confidently. You will have an uphill battle just because now he's facing multiple witnesses. But I think people are underestimating the fact that if there's any contradictions from accused, the accuser, that's definitely going to lower the credibility of her words. Is she going to be someone you could trust when she's lying about certain details? And you know, people have she if she really had those injuries, she could have presented those injuries instantly. Rihanna did it. Rihanna knew exactly that if she hadn't presented, or someone did in the Rihanna camp. I think that was pivotal for getting Chris Brown. You know, you saw you saw proof. So in typical fashion, the person making accusations will have the burden of truth on their side. But since Jonathan Majors is the it person in this situation, if we're talking boxing, he's the A side of this situation. But he's also the defendant. So he's being accused, but he's also the more prolific, prominent human being at the moment. So it's like he can't he can't really handle this the way someone who is not as prolific and prominent can handle this. He has to be more delicate because he has a lot more to lose, and that's why he will be more delicate. That's why any pushback from those text messages instantly made it like, oh, we're not gonna talk outside with the public with this one text message. Damn. So this question, you can absolutely answer on May 8th, and I think Marvel's not gonna preliminarily um, recast him or make a decision that risks multiple projects. And this is why Loki season two cancellation is the third question, and I want to get to there when I'm pretty much doing my Jonathan Majors thoughts. And I definitely don't want people to misconstrue my thoughts. I don't think I've displayed a defense of Jonathan Majors. I don't think I've presented any excuses for him. I think if he did any of this, he's a horrible example of abusive men. When they get powerful, no matter how long they've had power, that power taints. That power is strong. And maybe he's had a history of doing this. And we ultimately will find this out. And I hope he realizes that not everyone has his best interests either. And you can't eliminate that possibility either. And I think even mention that possibility is offensive to some people, but this is America. I'm able to display my thoughts, and you should look at every angle. They shouldn't throw away any possibility, especially when millions of dollars are coming his way. A good 20 plus million is coming his way. So you can't eliminate that motivation. You just simply can't. And there's a lot of situations that normal folk have been in that they've never had to speak for because they're not as prominent as a Jonathan Majors. And they live normal lives, non criminal lives, and they were able to go beyond that. So this is why I'm saying this is a bit different because it's hyper focused and it's just a part of the game. He's so famous that anything he does is going to be a story at this point. So I would say that people are jumping the gun because they think they know the situation, but we don't really have all the situation. This is why we get to my man Christopher Mark, and I think this is where me and him had a divide. He said a good amount of people following me are still defending majors, alluding to the possibilities of a motivation, a premeditation to this whole situation. Right? I've been in a situation where I'm being enticed with a woman I'm dating, and they want me to either react verbally, physically, not more so because I've never really had to experience someone wanting me to physically hit them. No, I don't mean that. I just mean they understand that there's this invisible wall that we're not supposed to hit a woman, and women, they like to step on that sometimes. And I'm not saying that this is this situation, but if you did read the text, she apologizes to some extent. Um, and that could also be a coercion, that could be forced. Hey, I'm not denying that possibility either. So people saying that, hey, that is definitely a possibility. And I'm being consistent. I could take all your possibilities. And it's quite easy to just believe the victim here. Absolutely. And I absolutely love the MCU. So could I be biased? Sure. But with the Flash actor, Ezra Miller, you actually saw camera footage. You saw cases end. You know, cases culminated, finished, meaning his team stuck by him. And And WB didn't let him go. You know, we're not quite seeing the same sort of support, right? Absolutely not. So um, I don't see that as defending Majors. But let's continue with this point. Despite reports of multiple victims coming forward, ultimately that does raise an eyebrow. But we need proof. Then he says this. I get it. He's famous and a talented actor, but don't let someone's celebrity make you support a terrible person. Believe victims. That ultimatum and that statement on his face is literally is oxymoronic to the point of law in America. Innocent until proven guilty. That's not defending somebody. He's innocent until proven guilty by law, and that mind state keeps you looking at things objectively. You can't just believe the victims in the situation. How are you going to look at things objectively? You have to not believe anything. This is the time to not believe. This is the time to theorize. This is the time to expand your thought. This is not your time to hone in on what you think. This is time to brainstorm, to put all things together. Context matters in everything. Even if you don't like what ultimately leads, you got to find out why people do these horrific things. So even if the revelation further proves that he is the victim, I'm not here to block that. I'm not here to prevent that revelation. I'm not here to defend him. So this is when I come in and I say the lawyer has reiterated and expanded on some of the information. It's on TMZ cab. It's on TMZ. The cab driver will testify that Majors was the one who was attacked, and they have video evidence she was out in the club chilling just fine after the altercation. So this is not the end. Time will tell. May 8th. So he's pretty, that's it. He's done. Nothing no one could tell him. Believe the victims. Hasn't even seen all the evidence, but believe the victims. Uh, you're calling him a terrible person, but you haven't seen every angle. Just believe the victims, right? Okay. He says the key word now is victims, plural. Sure, that definitely makes you go, oh, nah, that's not good. If his abuse partner recants because Majors and lawyer told her to, it won't really matter as multiple other victims come forward with their own stories. But again, Majors wanted the court of public opinion to judge him. Not looking good. And that I agree. He's not looking good right there. And I'm going to like that one because I don't think he's wrong right there. I think he's totally right. Um, but he's making an assumption. If his abuse partner recants because Majors and lawyers told it to, so that is a what if. He's speaking in what ifs. We do not know if that's the case. Is that a possibility? Absolutely. Is it probable? Absolutely. But he's speaking in a what if. You got to speak in what is. And we don't really know what is, hence why you can't have such a determinate perspective on the situation. The key will be what can be proven with evidence. It says levidence. I didn't mean that. If she manipulated anything in the situation, it would not help her case in the slightest. She said she had a laceration behind her ear and a broken finger, but she was in the club after the altercation with no signs of injuries. The only person who seemingly has manipulated anything is Majors, and that lawyer with the text message exchange, which read like it was staged for the benefit of Majors' defense. Again, court of public opinion for now and real court next month. That is essentially that's his determination. Again, I'm staying consistent with my thought. You think it's cut and dry. I don't. I will not make a determination without all the evidence. Innocent until proven guilty. Judge can't dismiss the case, especially now with more supposed victims have come out. So the court it is. What doesn't, and the guy's acting like I'm the only one alluding to this. This guy's not defending it. Emmanuel Eman, this guy makes great reviews. He seems like a great person. He's not defending a potentially terrible person by speaking in factual terms. This is really what the lawyer said. And him describing it as plot thickens is absolutely true because every day is a new bit of information. So for you to just say believe the victims, come on, you just can't do that. Morally, I get it. Morally, if you should, and the case not being dismissed is more evidently proving that it is being heard. She is being heard. The victims are being heard. It's not being dismissed. So they're being respected in their accusations. That's what the courts are there for. But he's absolutely right, Emmanuel. E-Man is definitely right. Plot thickens. Jonathan Major's lawyers have provided docs showing the alleged victim clubbing after the altercation and not being injured. Lawyer claims there's hours of video, a testimony from the driver, and additional text proving Major's innocent. So that's just a factual statement. Then, gotcha. You don't believe any of the victims and only taking the word of a defense lawyer who is paid to, defend. I think I know where you stand. Again, this is where I can easily be offended, but I don't really give a shit. He's trying to pin me in a particular moral box. And that is just manipulation. That's not reality. And you shouldn't even, you don't let that affect you if you battling a thought. I'm sticking to the thought. I'm not having to assume what he thinks. I'm not assuming I know where he stands. I can assume I know where he stands, and it seems like he already said where he stands. So to be fair, I don't need to assume. I know where he stands. He just believes. He's living in belief. I'm living in evidence, which you can prove. You got to prove these things. Just can't accuse people of shit. And me as a man, and me as a fellow American, and even the women, you should not just be okay with people being caught up for things they cannot prove. People should not be in jail for things that they cannot prove. Although, there's some manipulation in that. I get it. I get it too. But you have to prove. The burden of proof, I believe, is on the plaintiff. Right? You're the one making the accusation. But I guess not. I think the defendant has to prove his defense. But still, that still works out. You still got, you got to defend yourself either way. Either way, the court should be involved. It should not be in the in the gay. What would you say that in the guise of the public opinion? There shouldn't be in public opinion. There should be in the courts. Simple as that. Just logically, that's where it should be. I'm not believing the lawyer either until May 8th has come and gone. Again, you cannot just believe the lawyer. So he's absolutely right. But now she's presented it as facts. They're documents. These are not beliefs anymore. These are now, okay, I've said my beliefs. Now here, these are the facts. These are presented to you guys. That's it. There's no more theorizing. So, she is presenting it as fact. So ultimately, May 8th will prove if that's either fact or she made that all up and she's just manipulating the facts that she does have. And that will be proven. But again, I'm not going to determine these things just because everyone's running away from him. We've had that situation happen already before. So multiple times. Let's not just act like Johnny Depp is the only one. And he kept trying to pin me as a Johnny Depp guy when I'm not even a huge Johnny Depp fan. I promise you, I'm not. I respect his work. I think he's talented, but I'm not a Johnny Depp fan. You know what I'm saying? I'm not running to watch his movie. So the fact that he's throwing me like he's trying to paint me as like a Johnny Depp fan is hilarious because it's like, bro, it's not. It's about the principle. Remember that you're a man. Remember that the potential for you to be accused is out there too. And you wouldn't want people to just believe victims if you're innocent. Period. And women who really go through these situations wouldn't want other women lying about these situations. So proof needs to be out there. Proof sets everything free. Proof lets all of us feel comfortable and know how we feel. If we see things in front of us, if we see a hurt woman with a broken finger and a lacerated ear, I think that's something that makes things definitive and leaves us out of this wishy-washy situation. Now you could be pretty like solidified. Now you could be like, where's all these other women? They presented it to the DA. This is 2023. The excuse cannot just be, oh, I'm presenting it to the courts. I'm gonna let the courts determine it. No, release your photos. They should be releasing these photos. And if they're not, their lawyers are stupid. The lawyers would be absolutely insane to just exclusively present these things. And even if you can't, you signed the NDA. I don't know how that works necessarily, but um, you should release some of this information if he really is abusive. Release a text message, release a photo, release some injury of sorts. Why no one's asking for that burden of truth? It's because of mind states like this that you should just believe the victim, and that shouldn't be how things work. And that's not how they work anyway. So I don't need to make that argument. That's not how they work. You got to prove what you're saying. So as I continue, that's the point. The courts will determine the verdict. But I was mentioning that because people are saying what happened to the strong evidence in major side. Well, the lawyer claims it has been presented to the DA. A lot of people were speaking as if the lawyer has been quiet, hasn't stated anything, and maybe she hasn't within these past couple of weeks. But she ultimately reiterated exactly what she initially said. So that's a good sign, just specifically for majors, because everything is going down. So that's the only if the lawyer would have separated, I think that's even larger than the PR team leaving him and his management team. Because management teams, uh, uh, um, their credibility is not going to be determined by keeping Jonathan Majors or not. If they let go of Majors, it won't affect their business scorecard. They're still going to be a highly touted company. Nothing's going to happen. But if the lawyer leaves, the lawyer's going to look like an untrustworthy lawyer. I'm not going to trust you. You're going to bat out. You're going to, when things get heated and things hit the fan, you're just going to run away. You're not going to help me. So she loses credibility, this lawyer. If she instantly leaves or pivots or changes or alters her thoughts, the fact that she's keeping consistent is a good sign in relative terms, because everything else looks like shit. I get it. But again, I would argue the PR firm loses some sort of credibility. It has the potential to lose credibility because instead of sticking it through and showing how good you can speak in uncomfortable situations, you just bat it out. So if I'm other talent agencies, you also gotta look at that as a possibility too. I can't sign with this PR firm, especially like if you expect to be in a lot of situations. Like you shouldn't though. That shouldn't be a reason you sign with a PR firm. But people sign for PR firms for that reason, actually. So of course you don't want to have to defend yourself because you were doing things bad, but they have them, and there's a reason for it. And then he says, why would I blindly side with an alleged abuser? I don't know, man. It just feels like fans can't let go of their hero and having a tough time giving up on denial of what events could have taken place. Who are you more trying to convince, me or yourself? I'm glad he only got one like on that because I don't need to convince myself. I'm not convincing myself. I hope all of this long rant I've been on, I've made it clear that I actually don't have a determination. It looks bad. It looks horrible. I get it. Any man in this situation looks horrible though. So I can't dismiss the fact that they haven't released any evidence to the public, and we all have smartphones. We all have their access, and if their evidence is compelling and it just doesn't rely on testimony, then they should have some concrete information to present. I'm not saying I need to see damaged women. That's horrible. I don't need to see that. Let the court see that. The public don't need to see those photos. I get it. But again, not to mention Rihanna and keep using her, but if those pictures weren't leaked, now it's he say, she say. It's it's definitely not, you know, concrete enough to have a determination like this guy. This guy just knows. That's it. He's an alleged abuser. That's it. He's an abuser. I hope he doesn't get accused of nothing in his life. And people just don't instantaneously accuse him of being a fucking abuser because deserves, everyone deserves. It doesn't, it's not an individual deserving. The situation objectively, logically, and effectively should be expressive of both angles of the situation. People should not just walk into a situation and already feel some type of way unless things are definitive. Hence, why is there a court in the first place? If it was so definitive, Jonathan Majors would still be in jail right now. Well, he has money, so he probably bailed himself out anyway. But let's just say I haven't seen anything concrete. All you've heard is words, and people are already this solidified. He's presented photos, presented text, presented things, and people ain't hearing it, right? But they haven't presented shit, and no one's batting their eye. No one's saying nothing. So I get it. You don't want to show that. I get it. But I don't know. There's also, I don't know if you really want me to be on convinced. I'm gonna wait till May 8th, or in between that time, something really drops that makes things unequivocally true. That's it. So it continues. I'll resend him the photo because he's. I send him. You are not even taking this information into account. Why hasn't the case been dismissed? Because more women have come out, but they will need to have evidence to actually get the verdict they want. This is info after the new victims have come out. Ignore it all you want. I'm not. He's ignoring pieces of the puzzle. I'm not. I'm watching every piece. And then totally understand the reasoning behind not wanting to believe someone famous you like isn't a terrible person or capable of doing that because you think you know them from watching their films and shows. But when did I say that? When did I say that? I never said, yo, I don't want to believe. Did I say that? Did I say I don't want to believe? No, in fact, you're the one believing things. I told you I don't believe things. I'm waiting for facts, evidence based, not what I feel. If shit was how we feel, people, a lot more people would be in jail, and I guarantee you that a lot more people are in jail because of feelings and not because of evidence. That's how it explains people being in jail for years for things that they never do, and then they prove otherwise. So you didn't have evidence enough to prove that enough evidence to prove they did it at the time, but now you do. I guess technology doesn't prove and shit, but still, like, come on, those people can never have their time back. So let's be delicate of that potentiality. Let's stop asserting that we absolutely know and that people are wanting to believe someone famous you like isn't a terrible person. I don't know if he's a terrible person, but I would hate to be called a terrible person for simple accusations that no one has proof over. If you show me pictures of me or video footage of Jonathan Majors beating the shit out of a woman, there's nothing to talk about. Arrest that man, put him behind the jail, and recast him immediately with fucking John Boyega, or whoever the hell you want. Idris Elba, probably not Idris Elba, but hey, why not? He could do American and a British accent, so he could switch it up personality wise. So This is not no desperation to save Jonathan Majors or the MCU. The MCU could still make a recast and keep things moving relatively smooth. It would cause a delay of the Avengers movies, I think, because now we got to relearn Kang. We would need to re kindle ourselves with the brand new Kang. But um, that's okay when we're talking about life and death, and you're talking about strangulation. You're talking about a woman being attacked. That don't even matter. None of this I've even mentioned. I've alluded to talking about the Loki season 2 cancellation, but that's an afterthought. That's not even in the forefront of my mind. The forefront of my mind is finding out if he really is this serial abuser that he's being accused of. And if I go into it already thinking he's that, I'm not surprised that you think that, and most people think that. But I know how the law works in this, at least in this view, not in a nuanced view, but at least I'm confident enough to state that you have to prove, or there have to be a shadow of a doubt. There can be a shadow of a doubt. You know what I mean? And you can't tell me that saying that she has an injury, not presenting the injury, and now we find out she's in the club doesn't alter my mind state, and it doesn't make me a horrible person. It doesn't make other people horrible people for for taking that into possibility. Stop mind controlling people. Stop fucking uh, playing with efficacy in a way that's maleficent. You're being nefarious with your morality play, with your morality competition here, because um, I'm just as empathetic of what she's gone through as you. This how can you not be empathetic of somebody like that? But um, that's a bias. If you don't realize what objectivity is and being fair to every side, just as a principle, is how you get to the righteous answer and how you avoid people going to jail for years without, you know what I'm saying? You should watch 12 Angry Men. You sound like one of those 12 Angry Men guys that's so determined and so, you're so confident that this guy, it's it because he fits all the boxes. He's big, strong, muscular. He has a strong personality. He has multiple accusations on his back, so that's not him. That's just, that's a reality, and that will make anyone kind of, oh shit. No, this is not just one or two times. There's a few people out here, and we don't know how many more people. Is it two people, three people, four people, five people? Shit, they just said more people. More people could be two people. You know what I'm saying? And the man's over 35. Shit, you could say that, man. I don't know. If there's a moment you're gonna bring shit up and you haven't brought it up so far, it will be now. So I hope these women do get their justice if he's in fact the abuser that they claim. But a claim holds nothing. Holds nothing. Really has no weight. So, and then he says, then again, some people fuck up and deserve the consequences of their actions. That who could disagree with that? Yeah, he absolutely deserves the consequences and extra for lying. If this is all a lie. But I don't believe this is not belief. This is not the time for belief. This is the time for listening to all sides, hearing everything in. And then he states, and I think he's missing out on uh, um, on the fact that they have released the video security footage. We didn't know what footage it was. I thought it was like the inside the cab footage, um, but apparently not. Maybe there is that too. They've been holding on to this magical video that clears his name for like a month. They said they would release it alongside those sketchy text messages and never did. His PR/management people couldn't be bailing on him unless they are convinced of his innocence. The magical video is the club footage of her chilling after claiming being badly injured. That you can't insert anyone in that situation that we know that has been in a domestic violence situation and eliminate the revelation and the proof of the matter. And then you see that person in the club. So say he did it. That's the that's the that's the position that they would be in, or she would have been in. But this is absolutely insane because no one's even mentioning the fact that they haven't presented a photo. And these are not even crazy. These are not even crazy photos. A broken finger? You're not going to show a broken finger? Come on. If you indeed have a broken finger, you could prove that instantly. You don't need the courts. But you know why she don't gotta present proof? Because people like this, they believe it instantly. So what burden of proof do they have when when you got people like this? Oh, believe the victims. But you already have a prefixed notion that they're victims without proving if they're victims. I don't know. But again, he seemed like a good guy. He came from a good place, and there's nothing wrong. He has great theories. I follow him for a reason. So, um, he has his thought process, and I'm fine with that. And I hope great things for his career because he does seem to be a knowledgeable Marvel fan, and I will continue to follow because he got some theories that I really like, and um, I don't need to defend Jonathan Majors in any way. I'm just defending the principle. I'm a man. I'm an American. I would hope you, as an American, Mark, get treated in the same way. I hope every victim gets treated in the same way. They should be heard instantly. And hey, I'm not even resentful of that. She should be heard. Okay. I know that no one should be blocking her thoughts. No one should be denying her expression. That's her freedom of speech. And she should be heard. No one should be calling her crazy. And no one's done that. You know what I'm saying? She's been respected. Her thoughts have been respected. Her identity has been respected. So in terms of that portion of it, you can't feel like things are against her. If anything, things are against Jonathan Majors because everything is in her favor. She's a woman. Um, she appears to be an innocent woman too. She don't have a criminal history. We don't even know any of that, and that's okay. We don't need to dive in. I'm not here to. I'm pretty sure she feels horrible right now, so we don't need to do that. I'm not. Yeah, that's why I say let the courts do that. I don't need to be messy. People don't need to know anything about her. Um, but you could have blurred your face out and showing your broken finger. You could have still hid your identity. You could have super blurred your face out, just showed your ear. You could have covered your face in a blanket, showed your ear if you wanted to still hide your identity. So I think no one's asking for the proof, and I think the proof will set me free because the only one presenting anything is Majors, and you see he's not held by any NDA, he's not held by anything in the courts, right? So why would she be? Would that mean if she opens one little door, she's opening herself to opening her identity, and she don't want to do that? But again, your finger's not damn for real. People are gonna take a picture of your finger and diagnose that's you and figure that out. No, prove you got a broken finger. What's up? Simple as that. And I'm not being unreasonable to ask that. And if you feel I'm being unreasonable, I think that's your problem. That's not my problem. I think I would like to know. I mean, we would like to know that definitively. We wouldn't want to just hear words. Um, if these were normal people. Yeah. Why else would she say that? Why else would she say she has a broken finger? We see her running in the streets, running away from this dude. Yeah, we're gonna believe her. And she, well, I would hope you noticed the injury, but you would believe, if you're outside in a situation, you see a woman running away from another gentleman. Of course, that's not a belief situation. She's scared enough that she's running away. In this situation, we haven't even seen the situation. We don't even. This is crazy how people feel like they know these things and we don't even really know. So here we can get into the possibility of, you know, and let's see if there's anything in Twitter talking about Jonathan Majors. Let's just see what people are saying because I don't got all the answers, and I definitely don't want to sway you any which way. I just want to sway the narrative that this is all. That's it. This is the end all. This is it. It's done. Just because his publicist left and he's losing projects. None of these projects were hell bent on having Jonathan Majors. They could get another talented person to do every one of these projects, barring the PR rep having potentially lost some credibility by just leaving their client, right? The management team loses some credibility on that too because they just, they left as soon as things got iffy. But you got to respect them for it, and that doesn't instantly mean that Jonathan Majors can't come out of this situation unscathed. Doesn't mean that definitively. You know what I mean? He's in the corner. And look how people feel. This is good news, but can we talk about the blatant racism behind the canceling of Jonathan Majors versus Ezra Miller? Like the first offense, Ezra Killer May was assaulting a woman on video to then go on and terrorize other women. Yeah, he still gets his movie deals. Be fucking serious. Absolutely correct on that one. And this is a potential scare for women. You can't deny her this thought. What I find scariest about Jonathan Majors was Fam was positioning himself as the mascot of gentle masculinity. He was soft, sensitive, strong, safe, and unafraid to wear pink, all while beating women on the low. That was extremely calculated. You see? Determinate. He did it. He's a piece of shit. And for some people, he will always be that. So this is this is unfixable. This is no coming back from this. He will always have that asterisk on it. And we could even see the text. See, and there's no extra news about it. Issues worsen as more alleged abuse victims cooperate. Let's see. Let's see this. This is a very key part. The prospect of more women waiting in the wings. But what women? How many women? Can they stop speaking in vague terms? Yeah. Now wordy. Fix it for you. Yeah. Um. Hmm? Go over there, Prince. I'm ugly. You mean? So, and then I think a lot of people are hanging on this line right here in the text message. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. Like the whole situation is her fault. Not that it's her fault she got beat up. It's her fault that it escalated. That's what she's saying. Instead of just taking it for what it is, he didn't want to give you the phone. She aggressively tried to take his possession, and she blames that on herself. Not that she's blaming herself for getting her ass whipped, and she literally could have said that. Oh, I told him and blamed them for beating my ass. That's not what she said. I told them it was my fault for trying to grab your phone. Her fault for the situation, not for what actually transpired. She's the catalyst of the situation, is what she's alluding to. And then stressed that she told police this was not an attack. That doesn't. That sounds like coerce. A lot of people are stating that means he definitively coerced her to make these statements, but she's saying this was not an attack. You know, staying consistent. She's saying it's her fault. Then it said the woman allegedly wrote, "Please let me know when you're okay when you get this." So that essentially kind of confirms the report that when she went to the house, if she was texting him, he wasn't there. Friends, while she was texting, or maybe she was texting him while she was in the club. But no, she literally says, "Please let me know when you're okay when you get this. They assure me that you won't be charged." They said they had to arrest you as protocol when they saw the injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. I'm so angry that they did. See, injuries on me and they knew we had a fight. A fight doesn't mean he beat the shit out of her. It just means they had an altercation. Um, and then she says, I'm so angry they did that, and I'm sorry you're in this position. We'll make sure nothing happens about this. I love you. That one's interesting because she hasn't done shit about that. Um, a few hours later, the woman allegedly wrote, I know you have the best team and there's nothing to worry about. I just want you to know that I'm doing all I can on my end. I also said to tell the judge to know that the origin of the 911 call was to do with me collapsing and passing out and your worry as my partner due to our communication prior. Again, that sounds horrible with accusations of strangulation, but she was drinking. She was hours in the club, man. I'm 30 years old. I'll be passing out at 8 o'clock. I do work overnight. But I'm saying, she was chilling, drinking for hours. He's crazy. I can ignore it forever. I'm gonna beat you up, man. I'm gonna beat you up. I'm going to bed. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. No. Yeah. So, and then it says, I know you have the best team. And then it says, tell the judge that the origin of the line was due to me collapsing and passing out. But for many who were in the business for major, the text messages had the opposite effect and raised more questions than they answered. Namely, why the woman had lost consciousness. No one even knew she was drinking. So, of course, strangulation, unconsciousness, you're going to think the worst. Right? So, all I'm alluding to is that there is a potentiality. This is all a misconception, and people who've read this, they're taking these out of context. And it could be because you don't have any other rest of the context. So, it's possible. So it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's not crazy. You see? And then it says it read like a bad Lifetime movie. They look like the text messages of a textbook abused woman. It says one person who is working with majors on an upcoming project. I'm not a woman and I've never been an abused woman. So I'm not gonna say she's wrong in her assessment. That's her assessment. And things could read differently than they are. And that's what I'm saying. It's reading bad. I get it. I get where people are going. But those are assumptions, determinations, and matter of facts that I'm not willing to make yet. Without the rest of it. He was just giving us a preview that she was saying that it's her fault for the cat. She's the reason for the altercation. There's no and Um, the passing out part, of course, that sounds absolutely insane. I get it, but she doesn't say, "Oh, I passed out after you choked me." You, are y'all really reading things by libel, like literally what is being told, or you're asserting things and assuming things? Because what's being stated is not what it had the opposite effect and raised more questions than they answer. Of course, because you don't have the rest of the context, but the very nature of what is being said sounds to me like a woman stating, "It's my fault for the reason it happened. I told the police that it wasn't an attack, it was a fight." Meaning they're both is like a fight is two contentious people. It's not an attack. I'm being abused. It's totally different. I'm surprised I even got to make this argument. It's just we're in the Me Too era, and they don't want to give men any fucking realm of a light. I'm not here to defend the dude. I'm here to give you a fucking objective way to look at things and stop asserting your own fucking narratives, just like you do with Marvel content, just like you do with all this content. You guys want to just control everything. You can't control the narrative here. The narrative will be told when everything is out. People already know, though. They already know. That's it. They know. So I do have NVIDIA broadcast on. So if y'all don't hear none of this, shout out to NVIDIA broadcast. You definitely see this maniac right here, right here. You see him, he's splashing. Ow! I didn't mean to call you a maniac. You a maniac on the floor. Yeah, but anyway, let's see what it says. Okay. Oh, why would anyone lie? You could ask that question when the person has no value, is not known, and is just a regular, a regular citizen. When you find out payments of $20 million is being sent somebody's way, you cannot just dismiss that as a possibility too. Are you what? Ah, of course. Of course, you would be the catalyst in a situation where it favors you no matter what. If you started it, if you attacked them first, if she duffed him out 3 times and Jonathan Major slapped her, he's still gonna be viewed as the bad person. That's just the way our society works. But look, Dana White can slap his wife in front of everybody and he's good. And you saw that. That's a fact. That's not my assumption. That's not my assertion. We're not thinking of it through a text message. We saw that. And he's living lavish. He even had a show at the same time called Power Slap or some shit. So, you see that? Hey. No, don't hit the head. Now you get your ass whipped. Sponsored by Four Corners Boxing. You heard? Yeah, I beat up my nephew. See, I'm a bad guy. Think I'm defending bad people? You know why? Because I beat up my nephew. I beat him up. Right, Prince? I beat you up? Yes. Why you sound so excited? You gotta be, let these people know. Let these people set their own narratives. I beat you up. I don't know what you're talking. You're talking that jibbly jubbly. You talking that hillbilly smibbly. I don't know what you're talking about, bibbly. But yeah. Let's keep going. Then it says the mega budget temple avenges the Kang dynasty. I forgot. The name is in the fucking. He's the name. His character is in the name. So now you know why Marvel's not letting him go. What you say? I'll beat you up. I can't even lie. I'm gonna beat you up, bro. You gonna beat me up? Yes. No, I'm a good boy. I'm being attacked, man. Me being attacked. All right. Disney's already deep in business with Majors, given that his specialty label Soulfly acquired the actor's critically lauded drama magazine Dreams, in which he plays a troubled bodybuilder. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, Majors already shot the second season of Disney Plus series Loki, so now we could kind of transition over. I don't really have any more thoughts. I think you guys, if you're objectively listening to me, you get where I'm coming from. Ultimately, May 8th will determine it. And if Marvel has to recast, that might lead to either a quick post-credit scene with the new Kang, or we're gonna see Loki get canceled or really heavily delayed. So that's really my theory. It's really determinant on number two. If Jonathan Majors gets recast, then season 2 might be canceled. It just might be canceled because what we did see, not to bring this up, but you see Miss Marvel, the dad, he was involved in some CP stuff. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to say the word just to avoid that. Um, so and I saw him in the trailer of Miss Marvel. But sometimes the shit is shot. It's shot. So I don't know if that's going to be the situation. But anything after Loki season 2, I'm sure will be scrapped and be altered and added with a new actor. And there's so many talented actors. That's what I could really focus on this segment of it. Because this is a what if, this is determinate. If Jonathan Majors is recast, then you got to cancel it, alternate it, you know, make the changes, or just release it as is and just say, hey, this is the last appearance of Jonathan Majors. I don't know how people will feel about that. But you could also say Marvel is helping the victims because if they win the situation, you could deny him that money, which could have ultimately landed on the victim's pockets. So if it somehow helps the victims, if he really did it, then releasing it could still get some sort of reporting, some sort of support. Maybe they could finish it off like that. But I'm not even worried about that. Again, it's more about finding out if he, in fact, is the abuser that he's being accused of. And I just want that to be objectively what we focus on. We shouldn't be focusing on determining things we don't have the full context on. And you're seeing across the board, he's losing a lot of, he's losing a lot of situations and relationships and he comes out innocent. He's gonna look at all these companies like, wow, you guys were so quick to run away from me. And some of these directors that have stated that he's been hard to work with, he should, these things have a chance to bite them bite them right back. And then it says, when Variety reached out to Nikolai, he responded, I stand by what I wrote and I support his victims. That's it. His victims. He supports things that haven't even been proven yet. So that's the problem right there. You cannot do that for any of us. You're just going to believe people because they accuse me? Shit, I look like a lumberjack. I probably killed a few trees, right? No, I never even grabbed an axe before. What you see is not always what it is.
Uncle.
Uncle. And I support things I know of and however they choose to move forward. And who is Nikolai? My fault. I skipped that completely. Broadway actor Tim Nikolai, who appeared opposite Rachel Weisz in the public theater production of Plenty, tweeted that I'm already seeing a bunch of why didn't you do anything? Folks, people have tried ultimately the victim to come forward and both cemeteries offered to know he is still doing this and also relieved that he may never get to again. A bunch of us are close with people and sometimes multiple people he has directly harmed. I don't know if they will speak on it. It is completely their decision. Interesting. Okay. So that's a direct witness. Okay. That's important. I don't want to smell your feet.
My feet.
I don't want to smell your dirty ass feet, man.
Smell my feet.
Come on, man. All right, that's it.
Smell my feet.
No, I don't want to smell your feet.
Yes, yes. Smell my feet. Yes, smell my feet.
Okay.
Smell my feet. Smell
Nobody want to smell your feet, bro.
Smell my feet.
Oh, hey. Stop making a mess, or I will kick you out.
Smell my feet.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes. Smell my feet.
Oh, it's stinky.
Yes.
I just have a thought. You attacking me too? It's just thoughts, bro. It's just how I feel.
Yes.
You attacking me for how I feel?
I'm gonna choke you.
This is America, bro. This is America. And you headbutting me? Yo, you a warrior. You're gonna catch a headache. You know the noggin sato I got?
Smell my feet.
No.
Yes.
Please no.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
Wait, I got one more topic to talk about, and you're making this a struggle. You're making this a struggle.
Smell my feet.
I don't want to smell that.
Yes. Smell it.
Ew.
It looks like a green pack.
I'm gonna burn your foot. You put that in my face again.
Oh,
Get away from me. Get away from me.
no.
Come on.
No.
You're not scared of anything. I can't scare you of anything. I'm gonna beat you up. Nothing. That don't work. Ow! You see, he abuses me. Ah! 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 See? You see me whoop out the lighter? Context. Context. Oh my God. What a horrible guy. Then you realize he's abusing me. I can't scare this kid for nothing. The Cuco don't scare him. You know the dark scares him. He don't like the scar. He don't like the dark. Right? You scared of the dark?
No.
Ah, you scared of the dark. Stop acting for the camera.
Broke your hair.
Hey, you broke my hair. All right, that's it. That's it. That's it.
You're ugly.
Your face.
You're ugly.
Your face. But yeah, we saw Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania. So now we get into Phase 5. So what a horrible way to lead into Phase 5 with the notion that the main guy that we're focusing on is about to be recasted. So now I could talk as an MCU fan. Ultimately, it would be absolutely horrible if it is proven that he is an asshole. But that is an afterthought, and that is secondary, thirdary, fourthary, second. That's again not even the focus. But I cannot lie as an objective MCU fucking nut hugger that I would love to see Kang prove his innocence and be able to continue his role as Kang. Let things roll smoothly. But ultimately, if it is proven he did it, it would be his fault. And Marvel has proven that they can make those adjustments. So even as a Marvel fan, I don't got nothing to worry about. You see how many talented people? You can even look for people that look like Kang the Conqueror if you want. You ugly! You ugly, bro! Ow!
I broke your arm.
You broke my arm, you ugly. But anyway, we got Ant-Man Quantumania. I really enjoyed it. I actually went to go see it with this weirdo, and we missed the first like 30 minutes because he's a weirdo. Ah! So we went to go see the movie, and we missed it. No, I'm using the headphones. So we was watching the movie, and I missed the 30 minutes. Rewatching it in bootleg wasn't hitting, so I'm definitely gonna rewatch this movie and give it a full review. But what I thought of the action set pieces and what, especially when Kang, not to mention him, not to give him any flowers at the very moment, but once he entered onto the screen, the movie exponentially rose in terms of, it's cooking with gas at that point. Just put it that way. And I ultimately enjoyed the story and the interesting continuation and kind of another literal realm to look at in this wide, complicated multiverse that's in the MCU. So now we could talk about the future. In Marvel Studios, Guardians of the Galaxy, you have a love band of misfits, the sun into the life of nowhere. But it's a love before the lives are abandoned by the echo of the rocket's turbulent past. Peter Quill still reading from the lost of Gamora, ran his team, ran the information, maybe. Anyway, it looks absolutely awesome. It's shot beautifully. The interesting storyline with Rocket and the human, what's his name? Damn. The main villain has an incredible title. Um, you just ugly. The high evolutionary, right? He looks very compelling. He looks very cool, and the overall cast of this is gonna be insane. And it looks like what we need right now. It looks like that balanced experience that Marvel's known for. That it's not too funny, but it's also um could be too. Yeah, it's not reaching serious tones like the Dark Knight because there's a balance of comedy, but the seriousness is not undermined by the comedy. And I think Thor: Love and Thunder, although I enjoyed it for what it was, and I thought when it was serious, Christian Bale did enough to keep the scene serious. It was undermined, generally speaking, by the comedy because there was way more comedy. It was imbalanced, way more comedy than the serious. So when the serious did pop up, you're expecting funny shit too. So I guess so I can understand the criticism, but this looks like it's gonna be freaking awesome. Uh, then the Marvels. That trailer looks awesome. It's the most disliked trailer in YouTube history. Yo, suck on. Yo, you guys are just suckers, bro. You just suckers. Just disliking it just cause for what? The trailer looks awesome, and it looks like they're showing you, hey, no spitting. That's not funny. I don't like that. No spitting. You could do everything. Don't spit. All right, fight me. Fight back. So, yeah, I think the Marvels has an interesting possibility of showing us the actual moment in between universes, which is amazing connection to WandaVision, where WandaVision set that up, but also kind of gives you an idea that Wanda's going to play a huge role in the future, so expect Wanda back. So you're going to see Kamala Khan's character with her energy, her feminine, youthful energy. That's awesome to see. Yeah, that's awesome. And he's going to do a great job. Ow! Ow! And Captain Marvel looks like she's having fun. Tayana Paris looks like she's gonna have a blast, and she's just gonna have an interesting character. The possibility of these three knowing how to travel, will learn or have the capacity to travel the multiverse on their own without having without having these cruxes. But they have the bangles, so they would have the technology to also do it. And the fact that the potential is that in the Thunderbolts they're going to be fighting for Tiramet, which Tiramet's body, which is made of adamantium, so that's going to connect with Deadpool 3 and Wolverine and Eternals, and you're seeing all these threads connect, and the potentiality is incredible. And you're seeing the Marvels, and that's all the announced trailer things that are concrete. We know the date and everything, even though we know a lot of concrete shit from Captain America: New World Order too. But We're talking about release, finish, and other marketed projects right now. And where's the shows? So that's for the Marvels, Guardians of the Galaxy. So the next two movies looks like bangers. The Guardians of the Galaxy coming out on my birthday, May 4th. The preview night, officially May 5th. So that's gonna be fun. Yo, you ugly. And then the Marvels comes out in fall. That's gonna. It looks like it's gonna be a great time. But now we could go to the TV shows. Secret Invasion looks freaking dope. And you see Samuel L. Jackson is in the Marvel. So does that take place before this? Does this take place before that? I don't know.
I'm not in Queen's boy, but not in Queen's song.
I don't know what he's talking about. But in Secret Invasion set in the present day MCU, Fury learns of a clandestine invasion of Earth by a faction of shapeshifting Skrulls. Fury joins his allies, including Everett Ross, Maria Hill, and the Skrull Talos, who has made a life for himself on Earth. Together they race against Titans to thwart an imminent Skrull invasion and save humanity. So yeah, that's gonna be awesome. And now you got Loki season 2. And right now, we don't really know when that's happening because, of course, the Jonathan Major situation. So that is essentially the rest of Phase 5 in a concrete notion, in a concrete way. We're hearing Echo coming out in the fall. So that would be really cool to kind of balance off with the Marvels. Those are two. That's awesome. Ironheart's supposed to come out either after that or before that. Um, Agatha Coven of Chaos is coming out. I don't know if it's coming out this year or next year. Could be pushed to next year. So yeah, as you're seeing, not only were things already making some changes naturally due to some of the criticism, I think, and maybe they just want to switch things up because they feel like they can optimize it. Sometimes you just gotta listen. Criticism ain't always correct in 100% way. You take the pieces that you agree with, and some criticism is legitimate. So
He's coming later.
yeah, he's coming later. So, yeah, I think we could end it pretty much here. I don't want to, I hope some people watch this. I had a great time. I got a chance to express myself and get my thoughts out there. I hope things turn out to be more concrete very shortly so we could stop theorizing and just do it.
What's the code?
So I hope you had a good time.